Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about travel shoes, which to me is one of the most important aspects if you're looking to travel with one bag or just a little bit more minimally, as shoes are going to be some of the heaviest and bulkiest items that you have with you on your trip. And it can be tricky to narrow down which shoes to take with you, especially if you're going on a trip that's going to take you across a lot of different environments, temperatures, if you're going to have many different activities that you can engage in. And so for this video, I've assembled a couple of different categories of shoes, and I'm going to be talking about the situations in which I like to use certain shoes and also how I manage the number of shoes that I take depending on how long the trip is or the style of bag or suitcase that I'm going to be traveling with. So lots to cover in this video. I'm excited to dive in. Before doing so, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing, as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. To start things off, I want to talk a little bit about the categories of footwear that I consider when I'm planning for a trip, as well as the number of shoes that I try to stick to when I'm traveling. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to be dividing the shoes into three different categories. The first being what I would call the primary shoe that I'm going to be traveling with. These are typically the larger, bulkier shoes that I wouldn't place into a carry-on backpack or suitcase. This is what I would be wearing with me while I'm actually in transit. And then the secondary category would be a flatter, lighter pair of shoes that could fit into a backpack without taking up a ton of space. This is what I will typically treat as a backup or a complement to my primary pairs of shoes when I'm traveling with one bag. So for a one bag travel setup, to me, the ideal number of shoes to pack is two, at most one if you can get away with it. And then the third category of shoes that I have is what I would say is kind of the nice to have category. And this is what I will include if I'm traveling with two bags. So if I'm using a roller bag and then a backpack, and I'm gonna be doing a lot of different activities, maybe some specialized activities, hiking, exercise, something that is just gonna make me need an additional pair of shoes than what I could typically cover with a one or two shoe setup. That would be the third category, and that would be only if I'm traveling with two bags. And for this video, the different types of shoes that I'm gonna be talking about include boots, athletic sneakers, lifestyle sneakers, and then more slip-on loafer type shoes. And I feel like these can jump around between those categories that I mentioned. So a pair of sneakers could potentially be my primary pair of shoes that I'm wearing, and then I can take a pair of loafers if I need something a little bit dressier, or a pair of boots would typically be my primary pair of shoes, because that's something I definitely don't want to put into a suitcase or into a travel backpack. In that case, I would still have, one of these smaller, slimmer pairs of footwear in, my travel backpack. I wouldn't try to put a pair of sneakers in there. But all that to say is that these aren't necessarily fixed categories. It just depends on the type of trip that I'm going to be taking. If it's for business, if it's something that's more outdoorsy, something that's in a warmer climate, colder climate. And so these are the types of shoes that I'm going to be talking about, and I have a couple of examples in each category to share as we go through. Up first, we have a couple of shoes that are a little bit more athletic. I know there's a lot of different types of athletic shoes. I personally enjoy jogging and running, so the shoes that I have here are the Adidas Ultraboost and the Nike Vomeros, which are really comfortable. I've really enjoyed running in them. I can wear them for long periods of time, and these are the shoes that I use when I'm at home. But when I'm traveling, I'm often going to be walking for many hours on end, and so I really like having a shoe that I know is going to be easy on my feet, that I'm just not going to have to worry about having to rest or potentially hurt my feet, so that I can walk many hours for multiple days in a row. And these are shoes that have been reliable now. I've had an opportunity to use them in various different situations. The Ultra Boost in particular have been my running shoes of choice for many years now, over a couple of different iterations, and the Nike Vomeros have been great so far. Lots of cushioning, and they offer the really comfortable uppers that are stretchy, and so they're great because they're athletic shoes. Now, because of the padding and the comfort that they offer, they can be a little bit chunkier. So this is not the type of shoe that I would want to place into my suitcase if I can avoid it, because it's just going to take up a lot of space. Even though they might not be as heavy as some other shoes, it's still just they tend to be some of the nice to have shoes, because when I travel, I'm not really exercising. That's never my primary focus. But if it's gonna be a very active trip, these are the types of shoes that I might consider carrying with me. Up next, we have a couple of sneakers that I would say fall more into the lifestyle category. So these are still gonna offer plenty of comfort and functionality, but I feel like they blend in a little bit better into a variety of environments compared to the running shoes that I showed in the previous section. And so here we have shoes like the Vans Ultra Range XO, which I've talked about in a lot of my packing videos. I've been a huge fan of these because Vans' aesthetic is a minimal classic silhouette. It's been around for a long time, and these have been upgraded to be very, very comfortable. I've now worn these for many hours on end and I haven't had any issues. I think that these are the types of shoes that I could walk around in all day and then potentially wear them to just go out at night to a bar or something like that. I also like that they have a good bit of traction on the bottom so that they could also potentially work for hiking. And so lots of versatility offered here in a shoe that doesn't look super technical. And then here I have some New Balance shoes, which I absolutely love. The New Balance 990s have been really popular these days. The version that I have here is actually made in the USA, which I also think is very cool. And so I really love the timeless aesthetic of these shoes. They're offered in a couple of different colors. I have the gray ones here, which just match up with so many different outfits. And then I also have the New Balance 574s, another very classic shoe. Both of these are shoes that I could walk around in without any issues all day. Very durable. I've had a number of New Balance shoes over the years and they always hold up. They're always in style and they're just very comfortable. They fit my feet well. I have a little bit of a wider foot, so New Balances have always been particularly helpful. And so regardless if you go with something like the 990s, which I feel are maybe slightly more athletic looking than the 574s, both are awesome, very timeless aesthetic. And then I also have these shoes from Saucony, the Shadow 5000s, which I featured a little while back in one of my other roundup videos, and I've now continued to beat them up, use them on a number of different trips, and they also just have really vintage, nice aesthetic, very, very durable, nice amount of grip on the bottom, and just a ton of comfort. These were the first Saucony shoes that I actually have had a chance to try out, and they have continued to hold up wonderfully. So regardless of which of these you go with, you have something very comfortable, and that's also gonna give you an aesthetic that's a little bit more versatile. I've always been a big fan of the classic all-white sneaker, particularly for travel because they always seem to match up with the majority of the outfits that I pack with me. There's a lot of different styles of these shoes that are available, and it's a timeless aesthetic. They've been around for a long time and it seems like they will continue to be popular for the foreseeable future. This is the type of shoe that I would say could jump across categories. So for some trips, these may be my primary shoes that I'm wearing while I'm walking around, while I'm in transit. They wouldn't necessarily go into my bag. So great for one bag travel, but they're often not so bulky that I would be uncomfortable placing them into my carry-on suitcase, particularly if I could load them up with shirts or socks and underwear, use them as a place to store other things inside of my luggage. So they could be primary, they could be the nice to have shoes, and that's another part of the versatility that I really like. And so here I just have a couple of the options that I've been using most recently. First up, I have the Sperry shoes that have kind of a classic PF Flyer Converse appearance. So this is something that I'm always a fan of, particularly if I wanted to pack these shoes away. They can get fairly flat and they just look great. Very vintage, super durable. I've been wearing these quite a bit for a while and they still look and feel like new. The laces are very durable, easy to lace up, and it's just a simple, durable, awesome shoe. I also have here the Roger from On, and On sneakers have gotten super popular these days, but the Roger continues to be the one that always catches my eye. They just have that sort of Stan Smith classic appearance, but what they have really improved upon is the comfort. These feel fantastic using On's Cloud Tech technology. For a sneaker that looks like this, they feel way more comfortable than I would have expected. I've continued to wear these very, very regularly, and they just have very solid materials, easy to clean, and they just match up well with a pair of darker chinos, jeans, shorts. So absolutely love wearing these. I think they look great. And then the other ones that I have here are the Vessi Courtside sneakers. that also have more of a vintage kind of 90s appearance. And one of the big benefits with these is the fact that they're waterproof, which is something that I don't always take into account as much as I should when traveling, is the fact that if you get caught in a downpour, it could be really inconvenient to have your shoes get wet when you're having to wait for them to dry. And so, really nice to have the peace of mind that comes with something like these Vessi shoes. Now, the aesthetic of these, although they try to imitate some of the more modern sneakers, is not going to be quite as sleek. Maybe they're not going to be for everybody, but they do have them in a couple of different colors, styles. They have been comfortable to wear. And so I think with any of these, you're going to get a lot of versatility. It'll really just come down more to sort of aesthetic preferences that are going to match up best with your particular style. I've always been a sucker for a good pair of boots, and boots, I would say, definitely fall into the primary category of travel footwear that I was mentioning earlier. So these I would always be wearing with me while in transit. As the heaviest and bulkiest items that I would probably have with me, I wouldn't want to place these into any sort of carry-on luggage. So whether I'm traveling with one bag or two bags, I will typically have these on my feet. And I really love how many different styles of boots are available. That's why I have come to really appreciate them as a travel shoe, because you have your more active style boots, some that are a little bit dressier, some that fall somewhere in the middle. And so on the more active side, I really love some of the collaborations that Huckberry has done with Danner. I have one of them here. These have been absolutely great to wear for longer periods of time. Perfect for being in the outdoors. They have a very comfortable outsole, great traction, just very grippy, and then an aesthetic that can translate from the outdoors into a more urban setting. If I'm just gonna be walking around, they are just gonna not look out of place. They have a very rugged exterior, really nice laces, and I've just had these for a while now. They're broken in. They almost feel like a pair of sneakers. And then for something that can be dressed up a little bit more, I really like Chukka boots. Here I have a pair from AstorFlex, which have been really comfortable. I think that these look great with a pair of chinos, with a dressier pair of jeans. I feel very comfortable if I'm traveling for work, taking this into meetings. They just look nice without going overboard. They're not quite dress shoes, but so I can wear these in a lot of different situations. They're just gonna continue to age very nicely, very rugged materials, comfortable to wear. And so Chukka style boots are great. They're also not usually very tall on the ankle, which I'm a fan of. And then the pair of boots that I would say lands in between these options is the legendary Iron Ranger from Red Wing. I've heard so much about these boots over the years and have been super excited to have finally had a chance to start testing them out. I absolutely love this aesthetic, very classic. The toe box is super distinctive. It's a little bit wider. So far, I've really loved the space that's provided here as somebody with wider feet, particularly when I'm walking for a longer period of time. My feet can swell, and so it's great to have the additional room here. And you have the full grain leather that's just gonna age nicely, hold up well over time. I know that Red Wing offers really great warranty on their products, a lot of repairability on the boots so that they'll last for a long time. And I know that there's quite a break-in period for these shoes, so I'm starting to go through that now. I've been wearing them a lot and they're already starting to feel great. And I know that that's just gonna get better as the bottom molds to my feet a little bit more. Here, you just have the really nice outsole, the laces, very quick to lace up. You have the rivets here that feel great. And so very excited to kind of start to see how these mold to my feet as I use them over the next couple of months. And I think that this is the style of shoe that I can take into, kind of a office setting if I need to. They don't look as dressy as the Chukka boots, but they don't look as active as the Danner boots. And so that's the type of thing that I like, so that it doesn't feel like I'm wearing something outdoorsy, super technical, super casual. And this is just a very well-known silhouette. And as far as the sizing, one thing that I did a little bit of research on before ordering these is that the Red Wing boots tend to run a little bit large. So I wear an 11.5 most of the time, but I did order these in an 11 as the recommendation was to size down by at least half a size. So I think that that was a good call. If you're in the market, make sure to keep that in mind. And then for this last section of the video, I want to talk about some of the footwear that falls into that secondary category that I mentioned earlier. So these are the items that are a little bit lighter, flatter, that I could potentially pack into a travel backpack. So if I'm traveling with one bag and I need an additional pair of shoes to accompany my primary shoes, these are the types of items that I would want to have with me. I also call them secondary because I probably wouldn't travel with just one of these shoes for any trip that I'd be doing. These I would always consider as something that would just be an add-on to something like a pair of boots or the sneakers that I was showing earlier, because these are either gonna have an aesthetic that's not gonna match up well for enough environments, they might not offer enough comfort, and so this is just something that would complement those options. And I have a couple of fairly different styles here. First up, I have a pair of flip-flops, and this is something that I always really like taking with me, particularly as I travel to a lot of tropical locations. I love going to the beach, being in the sun, and so flip-flops are really versatile for that. When you need something that you can get wet, that's easy to clean, that's not gonna take up a ton of space in your luggage. And I've actually gotten quite comfortable walking around in something like these Havaianas here. They offer them in a ton of cool styles. I've really collected quite a few of these. Here I have a pair of Harry Potter Havaianas, which I think are really cool. And I know that reefs are also very popular, rainbow sandals. So the brand doesn't really matter, just the style. I think that this is always a really interesting item to have with me, particularly if I'm going somewhere like a water park or if I'm gonna need to shower in a gym or anything like that. It just offers a lot of different functionality depending on where you're going. But again, these are not the type of footwear that I would travel with on its own. And then of course I have trusty pair of Toms. These I talk about on the channel a lot. I feature them in many of my packing videos because I've always been impressed with how comfortable they are to wear for longer periods of time. I actually walked all around Greece wearing these, didn't have any issues. And they're very lightweight. They can pack very flat into a travel backpack. And as a dancer, these are actually the types of shoes that I like to wear when I go to dance events so that I don't have to take a specialized pair of shoes. So lots of different use cases there. I know there's also lots of different styles of Toms if those slip-ons are not the type of style that you like. And then along those same lines, I have a pair of Hey Dudes. These have become quite popular nowadays, and they're a little bit chunkier, so these will take up more space in a travel backpack, but not so much so that I would completely cut them out. And they do offer a lot of comfort. I can see why they're so popular. You can just slip these on. They have a nice sort of insole that you can replace. And I've just gotten very used to slipping these on, walking around for my day-to-day, but great for traveling. This is very comfortable when you're actually in transit. If you have another pair of shoes that you can pack away into your suitcase. But if not, they don't take up that much space. They're pretty lightweight. And so, I've enjoyed using them on a couple of different trips. And then the last ones that I have here are a couple of driving moccasins from Sperry. I absolutely love this style of loafer because it feels like an elevated boating shoe. I always loved traveling with boating shoes because it was something that felt like you could dress it up or down. This feels like the upgrade of those types of shoes. I think that they look a little bit classier. They look great with long pants, with short pants, and I've been able to use these for walking around, particularly if I'm going to something that will require me to dress up, maybe for a business meeting. I can get away with wearing these very comfortably, and so really love the aesthetic, particularly because the one category of shoe that I do not like to travel with, if I can avoid it at all costs, are dress shoes. I don't like dealing with dress shoes. The socks that go with them, I find them uncomfortable for the most part, and I feel like I can't really wear them for that many situations. And so when I need something a little bit dressier, these type of loafers are gonna be the thing that I gravitate towards. And so that's it. Those are some of my favorite styles of shoes and how I think about packing them when I'm traveling. Hopefully this video was helpful, and if you have any questions on the topics that I covered in this video or suggestions for similar items that I should check out, as always, please let me know in the comments. And I'll make sure to include links in the description below to some of the other roundup videos that I've done where I share my favorite travel apparel that allow me to minimize the number of items that I travel with, as well as some of my packing guides for one bag travel. And if you have ideas for other roundup videos that you'd like to see, definitely let me know about those as well. And I want to thank Huckberry for sending some of the gear that I featured in this video for me to test out. They have an incredible selection of travel and everyday carry accessories, apparel, and footwear. I've talked about them a lot on the channel as I really love shopping on their site. They have great customer service, an incredible selection of the newest and coolest brands, and so make sure to give them a look. And I want to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.